Hi, my name is Jamie McCullough. I'm a second grade teacher at Webster County Elementary in Southwest Georgia. It's a very rural community. The school is very small. There's pre-K through 12th grade in one building. We average 2 homerooms per class. My classroom is normally the EIP reduced class size students, and oftentimes they struggle with different content areas, and that struggle stems from the difficulty in comprehending the text and reading. I am very interested in the impact that the use of graphic organizers will have over the understanding of various content areas across the curriculum, and in the hopes that by using these, it is going to activate prior knowledge and benefit students who learn with different learning styles. One might ask why this research topic is important. With the increased text complexity and the need for higher order thinking skills, it is vitally important for students to be able to read a variety of texts and efficiently process the information from the content to fully comprehend it. Students are coming from various backgrounds and academic performance levels and language deficiencies. With these different obstacles to overcome, it is important for them to be able to master this content and comprehension of various types of text. One method to help students from various backgrounds comprehend the text is the implementation of graphic organizers. They are an important pedagogical and instructional tool that assists students with various levels of academic mastery to organize the content and to facilitate the learning of that new content. According to Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences, students are more likely to retain information if they use more than one type of intelligence when processing the information. By using graphic organizers, students are going to be assisted in internalizing what they are learning because they present the information and content in both visual and spatial modalities, and it reinforces the content that's taught in class. By completing this research, it is going to provide me, as an educator, important information on the effectiveness of implementation of this strategy in various subjects and content areas. For example, by using graphic organizers in content areas such as science and social studies, not only will I be able to measure the gaining of the content, but also the text structure. During the completion of this study, I hope to be able to answer the question as how does the implementation of graphic organizers improve the comprehension of a variety of texts? The participants of this study are second grade students in a general education classroom setting. The class contains 16 students. Of these 16 students, there are 8 males and 8 females. The demographics of the male population, there are 2 African Americans, 1 Hispanic, and 5 Caucasian students. One of these students receives special education services in reading, language arts, and math in a pull-out classroom. The female demographics are 4 African American and 4 Caucasian students. The students' ages range from 7 to 9 years old, and they all come from similar socioeconomic backgrounds. The purpose of this study is to determine and measure the effectiveness of implementing the use of graphic organizers in all content areas, to measure how it impacts comprehension and understanding of the content. Graphic organizers will be used in science and social studies to help students learn the content, and in math to organize thoughts in various types of word problems, and in reading to comprehend different text structures as well as vocabulary acquisition. The implementation will be completed in small groups during a regular classroom time. Data for this study is going to be collected quantitatively to measure the growth of student understanding by measuring numerical data on various performances. It's going to be collected using a group comparison design. The students will be divided into 2 groups. I will be using district benchmark assessments to divide the class with equal representation of on, below, and above grade level performance of each group. Different content areas will be tested separately to determine how effective the implementation is. For example, science and social studies text will be used to measure the understanding of nonfiction text. The class will be given a pre-test over content that will be scored as a baseline before the instruction begins. During the instruction, the content will be taught whole group before the students are divided into groups to complete the activity. The experimental group will receive explicit instructions on how to use the graphic organizers and the content, while the control group completes other activities based on the same curriculum. This work will be completed collaboratively, and that will be available for any assistance and clarification needed that the students may have. After the completion of the unit, the students will complete a post-test to measure the student growth of the data will be analyzed to determine if the implementation of graphic organizers helps students comprehend the content in a better way. Various assessments will be used to measure and monitor student performance during the instruction of the unit, such as formative assessments, teacher talks, observations, and projects being graded with a rubric. In looking at the data, the student's mean, median, and standard deviation will be measured to compare to determine the amount of growth shown in the two groups. In classrooms today, teachers have groups of students with various strengths and weaknesses. In spite of these weaknesses, students are expected to learn the content to be successful in various subjects. Different obstacles such as various backgrounds, different text types, complex vocabulary, and strenuous content makes learning this content more difficult. The implementation of graphic organizers can help students internalize what they are learning because they present information and content in a visual and spatial modality. Graphic organizers promote strategy-based instruction by implementing strategies and tools to help them establish a visual to connect facts and information and tools. Reading instruction is important in curriculum because comprehension is key to be successful in all content areas. Content can be expository, such as science, social studies, and math, or narrative. Being able to comprehend the variety of text using a variety of strategies is an important skill for students to have. Reading and language teachers should consider incorporating graphic organizers in their classroom activities for 3 reasons. Because it helps students understand what content is important in the text, it helps minimize the semantic processing demands, and if students recognize a pattern of thinking while reading, they're more likely to become strategic readers. Literacy and science were also considered a component of progress in general education. Many students, especially ELL and struggling students, have a barrier to overcome due to the high amount of vocabulary needed to understand science content. Teachers can use graphic organizers with high explicit instruction to improve vocabulary and the comprehension. When thinking about using graphic organizers, one doesn't normally connect it to mathematics instruction. However, with Common Core and STEM curriculum present, word problems in real-life situations, graphic organizers are helpful because it allows them to read the problem, understand the meaning, locate relevant information, construct an abstract mental representation, and decide on which steps they need to follow. Because of the high teacher accountability for elementary classrooms in reading and math, there is often a little time left for social studies instruction. In an attempt to provide adequate time for social studies instruction to ensure that teachers have a high quality of current practicum settings, suggestions have been made to integrate social studies with literacy instruction and the standards incorporating strategies such as graphic organizers. Social studies is an information-rich subject with a lot of the content being addressed in textbooks. It's important for students to be able to interact with the text to ensure understanding of social studies content. Many studies have been conducted by multiple researchers, and all show that the combination of explicit instruction with the use of graphic organizer implementation has shown a growth of the understanding of content and curriculum. On this side, in the appendices, you will see one example of a graphic organizer that will be used in different content areas. This is a concept map. It can be used to identify main idea and supporting detail, or character traits or other elements of the story. This graphic organizer, called the Four Corners and a Diamond, will be used during math instruction to help students be able to understand and process information in a word problem so that they can better solve the problem given. This is the Fishbone graphic organizer. This will be used in nonfiction texts as well as science and social studies curriculum because it's a great way to sort main idea and supporting details of the text given. Here are the references that I use while completing my literature review readings. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation. I look forward to any feedback, questions, or comments you may have.